Good evening. It is now 6:31, and I'd like to call the meeting of the Park and Rec Committee to order on January 22nd, 2025. It's standard practice to do a roll call at the beginning of each meeting, so we'll go around and state your name, and we'll start over here with Terry.
Terry Cope.
Mary Larson.
Amanda Cahill.
Jacob Paul.
And Jenna Smith. All right, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Is there a motion to adopt the meeting minutes of December 16th, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Are there any edits? No corrections. Okay, all in favor to approve?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, next item on the agenda is petitions, proclamations, suggestions, or complaints from citizens, committee members, or staff. With that, committee members, do you have anything to report?
I just have a few questions that I wanted to circle back on. Last year we spoke a lot in one of our meetings about smoking in the parks and ordinances, possible ordinances. There are none currently, and I just was wondering if we were going to see that again, or if something has been put through, to the city council in that respect.
To my knowledge, it has not been brought to city council, but that is something that we can work with our city clerk on to see if that's an ordinance that the city wants to adopt.
Okay, great. And then one other thing that I just wanted to mention, since I know we do have to report to city council, is that we had a 2024-2025 work plan created, and in that there was a meeting schedule, and then with some suggested meeting topics. And just in order to meet that, it looks like we may have to add some topics to the next few winter meetings to still discuss the plan. Yeah, and discuss potential itemized things on that plan. So I just didn't want us to lose sight of that.
Right. So we will also be addressing this year's work plan, and while it is the anticipation that a work plan is something that we would be able to accomplish this year, if there's things that are left unresolved, those can be added to the work plan this year. So when we discuss those things, if there's things that we were unable to accomplish at last year's meetings, then feel free to bring those up as topics to continue to pursue this year.
Okay, great.
Anything else, Amanda?
No, those are my only two.
All right.
No.
Anybody else? I did have something I wanted to add, and that is a topic related to the increase in rates at the Victoria Rec Center that I've been hearing comments and feedback from community members who are members, and the increase in rates that went into effect January 1st. For people that are paying on an annual basis, the rates went up 127% starting January 1st. So there's been a lot of conversation around members, both in person and online, about that major increase that happened at the 1st of January. So I just wanted to throw that out there. I didn't know if any other committee members have heard chatter regarding the rec center rates or not.
Did you say it was 127%?
It's 110 from the family, or from the specific rates. And just to touch base on that one, the newly addressed rates indicate changes that were not previously addressed. So monthly rates had been increased more over the past years, but then the yearly discount wasn't touched, and it left something that is unsustainable. And so in order to be able to support the facility, rates needed to be adjusted so that the increases in monthly and things like that kind of trickled down. And so unfortunately those heavily discounted annual rates were not something that were sustainable for the facility. So it brought those up. And if you looked at like overall, like there was an increase across the board, but some of the plans were brought down. Some of them were brought up by a minuscule amount. And so the intention for these was to get it to a place where it is able to support the facility, because the recreation center is a fully self-sufficient facility. It is not supported by any tax dollars. And so part of that was getting it to a place where we can actually afford to make the needed maintenance and repairs, as well as addressing any future improvements. And so that was some of the changes that came by. And while the increase does seem quite high, there are some people that were paying anywhere between $5 to $10 a month. And just to kind of throw it out as a comparison, that doesn't even cover the cost of one employee's hour for 1 hour, or salary for 1 hour. And so if you can anticipate, this is really difficult to maintain. And so the city did have to make a decision that we had to increase the rates in order to be able to sustain the facility. And so unfortunately it did adversely impact those that had those heavily discounted rates. But we, as a city, did do a lot of research in comparison to other organizations that had comparable facilities, rates for facilities that may be smaller than ours, that are private, things like that. So this is something that as we move forward, we'll be able to address some of the changes that are needed. And just for the record, there is no intention on increasing these rates anytime soon. This was to get us to the point where we needed to be able to financially support the facility.
I will point out that on an annual basis, our adult rate is higher than both Chaska and Waconia.
And not compared to the new rates. There was rates for 2025 that was recently put out. So as like a Victoria resident going to Chaska, it would be higher.
Are you saying that Chaska raised their rates in 2025?
Yes.
Okay. I've checked their website. I did not see that in December.
Yeah, they didn't post it until a week and a half.
10 January? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. Jenna, do you have any information to provide the city and upcoming city events and news?
So 2 events that are coming up. For any last minute people who want to partake, the Royal Ball is coming up on January 31st. So this is a really fun event for families to be able to come and enjoy. There will be music, dancing, visits from princesses, a super fancy gourmet Chick-fil-A dinner. But it'll be a fun time for a lot of people. So I encourage anybody who has, kids that would enjoy that, or if you just really want to come and be a princess, you're welcome to come. It's welcome for all ages. Registration for that does close tonight. So if you haven't done it yet, send the word. Another thing that's coming up is we are doing our first ever senior bingo bash. And so that is on Wednesday, February 5th from 10 to noon at the Victoria Recreation Center. We are accepting registrations online. You can come in person to the rec center and do it, or we'll take people day of. So those are 2 fun things that are coming up.
All right. Thanks, Jenna. There is no old business tonight, so we'll go right into our new business. We have one item on the agenda for tonight. It's item 6.1, which is to review the sketch plat for the West Creek Village Residential Development. And Jenna will be leading us through this presentation.
All right. So just as a reminder, as we are reviewing these, there's no formal actions that we'll need to take tonight, but this process is to allow you guys to assist in any, recommendations as the city is considering these new developments. So for the one that we're reviewing today, prior to getting into this presentation, just want to make note that this is a revised proposal sketch plat for this land. So as a committee, back in July, we did review a proposal for this land from the same developer, but they came back, they listened to our feedback, they came back with a second proposal. It's a different model, the design is a little different. So if you hear some of the same language, it's probably because we have discussed this land before. But there will be key differences that I will indicate as we continue on, but some of these images should look fairly familiar to you. So to kind of just start out, this is a pretty large plot of land, a little over 88 acres, and 37 or so of them are developable. If you can recall from the last time, there is a significant portion of this land that is in wetland area, so that part is not developable. This is south of the Marsh Lake Hunt Club and west of the newer developments over at Huntersbrook and Marsh Hollow. And so this proposal, different than the last time, includes 13 single-family homes and 148 multifamily townhomes, which is a slight decrease from the number of homes that they were presenting the last time. For the parkland dedication, Lennar is proposing a 0.253 acre tot lot. And then the calculations that are listed here are the requirements of our municipal code. And so if you take a look at these numbers, these are the numbers that the developer is required by our statutes to fulfill. And so this 0.253 acre tot lot would be taken out of this if that tot lot was accepted. And so you'll take a note at the single family and townhome breakdown, which comes to a total of either 4.553 acres or $478,100 or some sort of combination thereof. So if we did accept the tot lot, it would be the remainder of that would come out of a monetary parkland dedication. So for this sketch plat, you would have received the same image in your agenda packet, but this one I did a little bit more outlining in terms of where these trails and the sidewalks and the parkland is. So you'll see the circled area is the tot lot. There's kind of a mock-up if you look into the center of the screen. And then you'll see the thicker lines. Those are the proposed bituminous trails. So there is one on the north side of the development along Creekside Lane, which that one does connect to the trail that's coming out of Creekside Lane from the Marsh Hollow development. And then the one on the south side would be connecting to the street area that down there. And then the thinner sidewalk or the thinner lines are the sidewalks that are proposed for this facility. So you'll see the one strip throughout the development. So for the trail and sidewalk connections, you'll notice that there are no sidewalks that are shown within the single family portion of the development or on the north side of Creekside Lane. There are the 5-foot wide concrete sidewalks shown throughout the one side of the townhome. Sidewalks on both sides of the street are recommended for developments with density over 3 units per acre, and this one clearly exceeds that by being 6.01 acres or units per acre. For trails, there are the 2 that I had previously indicated. One of them was a recommendation that we had from the last time, connecting to that creek side, and then the other one was an addition on the south side. For crosswalks, there are no crosswalks indicated in any of the plans. So for the one that accesses the street, there's not a crosswalk that is proposed. All right, so to put it into perspective, for parks that are nearby, like the last time, so the development is the one in blue, and then towards the middle left of that blue development would be that small tot lot. And then the future developments would be the Marsh Hollow one, which is the one closest. And then the next would be Huntersbrook. And then on the north side is the Lakeside Estates and the Lake Town Park. And so there are parks within reasonable walking distance that are fairly nearby this location.
Jenna, can you go back? Can I ask a question about the sidewalks? So
Like this slide?
yeah, so I went back to the notes too from our July 15th meeting. So one of the big differences that I wrote down was that in July there was the 8-foot trail proposed on the south side of Creekside Lane, but an additional 5-foot sidewalk on the north side of Creekside Lane. So, do you know why I drove through the neighborhood at the time in July, and you mentioned that, the 8-foot wide trail does connect to the existing neighborhood right there. But is there not a sidewalk then currently in the existing neighborhood on the north side?
Correct. As I mentioned on that other slide, so up, I wish this can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
So this is the single family home area. And as it says on here, there are no sidewalks in the single family portion of the development.
Okay.
So,
But I just want to make sure it doesn't.
Existing neighborhood.
Yeah, and then the existing neighborhood, I just want to make sure that we don't have
off to the side.
that we don't have a trail that dead ends
On Creekside.
on Creekside.
Sidewalk.
No, well,
sidewalk.
there might be if there is one on the north side, but I can't recall exactly if there is. The trail connects. So they would be able to cross over to the trail to get here for sure, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't recall if there was a sidewalk in addition to the trail. I'd be able to look that up and get back to you at a later date, but
Okay.
I don't know off the top
I
of
see what you're saying, Amanda, if you've got a sidewalk in the other development.
And then it just
stops
stops.
there.
And again, I was just looking back at our notes, and in the first sketch plat, there was a 5-foot sidewalk on north side of Creekside. So this is a difference that I just want to make sure that we are knowledgeable on.
It looks like it's a similar plan previously where it's not much of a street for the single family homes. It's just that one little roundabout, and then there's like driveways coming off of that.
And then what I know, with their townhome density, they are technically supposed to have sidewalks
Yep, the recommendation
on both sides.
The
Yeah.
recommendation is that they would have sidewalks on both sides of the street with this density.
And do the current townhome areas next to it meet those recommendations?
That one's out of our hands now at this point because it's already been moved along, so we need to focus on
Okay.
this one.
Do you want to continue on, Jenna, and then open it up for questions?
Actually, I think that was it.
Is that it?
So you guys are great.
Why are they doing just a tot lot?
That is what they proposed.
Before, remember, they only proposed this wetland area as their parkland
Behind the
dedication.
houses, yeah.
And it was not even accessible. It was like behind just the single family homes. So we had all agreed that like no one could access it or enjoy it. Like we had raised the same concerns, lack of sidewalks throughout the proposed development, and the indicated desire to have trail connections. At the time, we had expressed favor in accepting the cash fee for parkland dedications over the proposed parkland dedicated, as it was not, really desirable. It didn't even meet our needs or wants of open space for these neighborhoods or communities to enjoy.
I think the tot lot seems a little underwhelming. I feel like for that amount of density for both townhomes and homes, if they're going to do a park or
But this
a
is,
pound area, it feels like it should be a little bit more robust.
is it about a mile from
Less than.
West Village?
So it's 0.2 of a mile from where the Marsh Hollow Park development would be. And then one thing, not in attempt to sway your opinions, but do know that if we get development parkland, or like if they dedicate parkland, then that's not money that would go towards development. So it's kind of one of those balancing acts of, do we want them to develop another or give us land for another park, or do we want them to contribute towards the development of the parks that we have already been dedicated?
Yeah, because
Good point.
that's like a 5-minute walk, and it's just undeveloped right now. So money.
There's not a park there.
No, both those parks closest are undeveloped.
Right.
I mean, I know the city council, I looked at their, the council reviewed their first sketch plat too on August 5th, and the council expressed concern about not having neighborhood amenities either. So like it's not like they have a community room or a community pool like some neighborhoods have or whatnot. So like right now, it's not like in some of the other sketch pads we have reviewed, there's been other community amenities, whether that be a dog park or a basketball court or something like that, that's community maintained. Is that the right?
Like HOA maintained?
Yeah. Terminology.
Is there a schedule for those other two parks as to when they're?
So for Marsh Hollow and Hunters Brook, we are going to, at a future meeting, we're going to be talking about our new public engagement policy that we'll be rolling out eventually. But the goal is to have the public engagement this summer to plan for the future development of it.
How do we feel in general? So let's go down the list of these questions kind of in order and discuss those, because we've kind of been a little bit all over the place. So if we talk about the tot lot, what feedback then related to the tot lot being the dedicated parkland?
I think that's okay, given that we'll need money for the nearby park. I think. But I would agree that there's not any other amenities, which does seem problematic for this density.
But yet it's not that far away from another park. So that's kind of where I get a little bit like, I don't know that there's not much green space either or a high density area.
Can you go back to the map, the other one where it shows where the tot lot is? Because so all this right-hand side is all wetlands, so no one's walking or playing games or doing anything. And
Like it's nature, you can look at it.
but you're not utilizing any of that green space. So there's really barely any.
No, it looks like they're trying to cram every space with a townhome and not even room for sidewalks. So.
Yeah.
Jenna, in reviewing what the council had said about it, it seemed like they were trying to meet different density requirements. Do you know if there's still room for them to lower density requirements to add more green space and sidewalks?
I believe so, but that would be a question better asked to our planning commission and staff.
Yeah.
Any other comments about the tot lot?
I'm torn because I feel if we say no, then there's nothing.
Right.
Like there's no. I mean, and does a tot lot have a basketball court.
Yeah, what is a tot lot?
Yeah, how would you define
You know, like,
Yeah, a tot lot in definition is just a smaller plot that would be geared more towards those who don't need large amounts of play. So you wouldn't be able to fit like very large playground equipment on it. It's not large enough for like a court or anything like that. So it's more so if you think of some of our currently existing plot or tot lots in the neighborhood, it's just a small play structure, and that's about the extent of what you can fit on tot lots.
And would it be serve all kids, or would it be just little ones?
It would be equipment that would be more suited towards smaller ones because the larger pieces typically can't be fit into this space.
And in this case, they're just proposing that they would dedicate the land and they're not going to put any equipment there.
Right. So what they would be doing is they'd be dedicating the land, and because the 0.253 acre would not meet the requirements, then they would have to do the monetary contribution out. So we would be able to use that towards any of our park developments. So we would potentially have the ability to put it in depending upon what we went with our other locations.
I have mixed feelings about the concept of tot lot, just because I know it's more restrictive as far as the kind of kid or the ages of kids that can participate on it. That being said, if townhomes can be considered more of a starter home for families with young kids, that might be more of a fit for that kind of a development. Families with young kids. But I'm kind of struggling with this one myself.
I mean, there's nothing that says that we have to put like the small play equipment on it either. I'm just trying to think creatively, since we're not deciding on that right now either. Like, could you do a picnic shelter?
It's not big enough for a picnic shelter.
So it is tiny, very tiny.
Yeah, because with the picnic shelter, you also have to factor in legal requirements for parking. So,
Okay.
Yeah, you're probably pretty limited to what.
great idea though.
You know, like okay, it's, how can we use this green space?
Yeah.
That
It doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be a,
yeah, that 2-year-old to 5-year-old.
doesn't necessarily mean that.
play
It just
equipment.
does drastically limit what can be put there if we put something there. Like it could be a picnic space, but that would be that. So it's not open. It's not big enough to be like a field.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah.
And those other outlots listed,
What are
do we know if those are usable spaces?
What do you mean by
This
outlots?
is like outlot H, outlot G,
I was noticing those too.
outlot.
Like right below the tot lot is
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
so that would still be owned by the HOA, I assume.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their plans would be for those because some of this, because of the streets, I'm not sure if maybe they would end up needing to have a space to push snow or something like that, because that's the downside of townhomes. So some of these might be placeholders for that.
Yeah, I would say the lack of sidewalks is a big concern as well.
Yeah, especially if that's our policy or what the
Yeah,
then I think we should try to stick to that.
yeah.
So with that, what would your recommendation be? So the official recommendation is just that there should be sidewalks on both sides for this much of a density. Where would you like to see the sidewalks?
Definitely on both sides of the street in the townhomes and going up to the trail, I think. So kind of connecting everything south of the trail.
Oh,
On both sides.
Yeah, coming off the trail down to,
Yeah, the one side does connect to the trail on the south side, but there isn't a connection to the north trail.
right? What about in the single-family homes?
Yeah, well, that's tough because there's so little actual street there.
Right.
I think if there is a sidewalk in the Marsh Hollow on the north side of Creekside Lane, it would be good for it to connect, not just dead end.
I would, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one question we don't know, but yes, I would agree. Like, we just can't have another dead-end sidewalk.
Particularly because like now's the only chance. If
Yes.
there's not a sidewalk put in.
It's not gonna,
yeah, it's never gonna happen.
yeah,
Yep, on the north side of Creekside Lane.
yeah.
But if people are biking along the trail, it's nice to have another area to walk on the other side.
Yeah, because I think Creekside is really going to be kind of the main east-west thoroughfare through this area. So if you
Yeah.
think about it, trail on one side, a sidewalk on the other.
Yeah, because this land keeps getting purchased and it's gonna keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. And we still don't really know what the plan is to connect any of it to 10 on this side.
Right.
I will say the commercial development is working really hard to get us connected.
So in the single family, are the outlots there going to be streets, or how do these people get to their homes?
It's all coming off of the street.
The roundabout,
Street
or
A.
it's a cul-de-sac.
Right, I see Street A, but what about the 654 on the kind of right side there?
Yeah, I think there's a little, like it's like a private driveway. That's
Yeah.
Where are you referring to?
to the right of Wetland A, on the north side of Creekside Lane.
The homes listed 6, 5, and 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, most. Yep.
That's just a road. Yeah, that's the road.
So then they could get on the Creekside sidewalk if there was one there. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's another reason. a
Yeah, that's
sidewalk would be
another-
helpful there, because otherwise those people.
They're kind of, stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another valid.
So I think we would also recommend. It sounds
Yeah.
like a sidewalk on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What were the other questions, Jenna? Sidewalks.
Most of it.
Okay. Any
So the trail on the south side, is that already the part that's in Marsh Hollow there? Is that already there? So it just dead ends at the edge.
Currently.
That's the way it works. Go to the end.
I think their hope is that more developments come.
Yeah. Well, it's good that it's
Yeah.
gonna be
I mean,
completed.
Yeah, because even with this one, if that were to happen, this one is dead ending.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, here's a question, because, so is there a possibility for a trail or sidewalk, some sort of walkway to go around the edges of this wetland so that it's a loop right there? Like, and that's what they dedicate to us?
Like behind those townhouses.
Yeah. See how, it's being called the southeast portion, the trail connecting Marsh Hollow development in the southeast portion. But, so, yep, down there. But then could it go,
Like
you know,
around the outside.
kind of around the outside where the edge of the wetland, yeah, where the edge of the wetland is outlined?
Like behind like this direction?
Yeah. And loop back up to meet the Creekside
the other
Lane
side?
Trail?
I do know, like, in some of these spots, you'll see the word buffer. There
Okay.
are requirements between buffer and undevelopable land
Mm.
that they might not be able to fit it in between that and the property lines. But I can see. I mean, add that as a recommendation if it's possible.
I mean, what do people feel about
that would
that?
be a
Because
cool
then
trail.
then that's like a loop. Oh, it's like a neighborhood walking
Yeah.
loop almost.
Are you suggesting going around the outside too? Like on the right side of the?
Yeah.
So all the way around that wetland?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so if
Okay.
you can see my mouse, is this where you're talking about, like, kind of following
Yeah,
back this way?
and then
Back to the
and
trail.
if that trail's
back to
already there,
Yeah, I can't say that I'm positive that that's actually possible because of the requirements for a buffer between wetland and the property lines, but I can say that's a recommendation if it is.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have a nature
amenity.
trail.
I think particularly
cool
with
amenity.
the density they're going for here, as many walking areas as possible would be good.
Isn't it almost impossible to fit that many? I mean, when you draw them, it's one thing, but
Yeah.
It's tight.
it's really tight.
Yeah, I'm wondering how it compares to like the other townhome developments around. Seems very tight.
All right, any other comments or suggestions or questions?
so will we keep seeing this as it keeps getting updated? Is that the
This particular one,
yeah?
if this one with our recommendation goes to council and they're able to come to an agreement, it will not come back to us.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is the chance to give the feedback.
Yeah.
I think the last one had houses on the wetland. Do you know if they like?
Close to it.
They're
They
close
did
to it?
change their design and then they did decrease the amount of homes.
Okay.
So slightly altered.
Yeah, it went from like, there were a few different numbers, but it either went from like 18 single-family homes or 15 family homes to the
I
13.
think it was 15 to 13 and like 152 townhomes to 148.
Okay. Anything else?
Is that connection from the south roundabout to 10? Is that a connection? That sort of dark gray line. Is it a road?
Railroad?
Well, the railroad is.
Lower than that. Okay, that's.
So I'm wondering what this line.
Oh, that line. Yeah. I am not positive. Let me see if I can pull up the legend.
Doesn't look big enough to be a road, so
That's supposed to be the potential something
Yeah.
else, or
like a trail maybe, but there's no trail on town.
It looks like it might be a road out to County Road 10, but I don't know for sure.
So
Yeah, the document that I'm looking at isn't indicating what that is, so I am not positive.
I thought I read somewhere that it was gonna be almost like a temporary road.
oh, that might be.
I can't find that right now. I don't know if it was in planning commission meeting minutes or council meeting minutes that I was
Yeah, there's another.
reading.
There's like a detail view in here as well that doesn't show that, so it might be like a temporary road.
I am seeing a gravel surface.
Yeah.
It's
That
an
legend.
oh, That could be a farm road then, or a field road.
Snowmobile trail.
I mean, I guess we could say,
Community amenity.
you know, because that would be another miss. So we could say, if there is a road connecting the neighborhood to County Road 10, that needs a trail or sidewalk along it as well to cover
Cover a base.
it.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember talking about that before, that we wanted a trail all the way to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's not clear yet if you live over here, if you'll be able to get onto 10 to go to the commercial district. Oh, you would cross the railroad tracks to go to Quick Trip.
Okay. Anything else? All right, really good feedback. Thank you, everybody. So next agenda item, if we don't have anything else, we'll move on. Other business, does anybody have any other business to share?
No.
All right, then we'll move on to adjournment. So if there are no more items to talk about, I will adjourn the meeting. Can I ask for a motion to adjourn?
So moved?
A second?
Second.
All right, a motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned.